Today I'm talking with Linda Guamán from Quito, Ecuador. She's a professor and researcher at the Universidad Tecnológica Equinoccial, and she works in the Department of Energy, Environmental and Chemical Engineering. And Linda, you have just, right now in the midst of the COVID situation, you've taken on a lot of new roles and you're trying to deal with tremendous amount of difficulties happening in Ecuador. Could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and some of the challenges that you're facing?
Yeah, testing is the main challenge we are facing now. So that's why some researchers, we decided to work together as a team to work for the government, helping about diagnosis. So we decided to adapt all the laboratories that we have, which are mainly for research purposes. We had to adapt for diagnosis, which was a huge deal for us because we had to invest money and resources to make these changes. So now we have over 15 universities across the country that we are helping the government to diagnose. I'm so happy for that because it's the very first time we are working together as academia in Ecuador.
So you're bringing together a lot of different units.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a social media thing. I decided, okay, I was thinking I guess it was in February when I was thinking, okay, we should do something. I'm doing a qPCR every single day. I know how to do it. And I just tweeted about it. Maybe we should help to the government. And the health minister, she received my tweet because I tagged her and she invited me to talk to her. So I went to Guayaquil, which was the epicenter of the pandemic sometime here. And I talked to her about maybe we should help and use the university resources in the laboratories to make diagnoses. And she was pretty open. And 10 days later, she quit. So it was beginning from zero again. And the new health minister is also pretty open. And he decided to help, to take our help. And I'm pretty proud that just a social media thing that was an idea in my head. Now it's something that is really helping people.
That's incredible that it could spring to action that quickly. And you're saying just from a tweet on social media.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened before that the university labs have?
I don't think that. No. When you think about community, and the last couple of years, I've been involved in this community environment. So when the pandemic happened, I was thinking about that. We should have as a community. I mean, we are one country facing the same issue. So it never happened. You know, most of the researchers, we are just focused on publishing. Now, most of us are working 10 hours per day just diagnosing. That's something that most of us we were never aware of, that difficult challenge that we need to face. Even from buying tips, we don't have sometimes tubes. It has been so challenging, but we now are really, really close each other. And that's something great for me.
That's wonderful. That's, what did it take for the country to ramp up like that? Like, how are you dealing with lack of supplies or corruption or
well, that corruption is a huge deal because the health minister has been, it has serious issues like communication is an issue. Most of the people feels really like this lack of clear and sometimes easy information that people need. That's a really huge issue from the government because they don't know how to speak, how to talk in a clear and simple way. That's also a challenge for us as scientists. We all over social media trying to explain to the community something in a way that sometimes you don't talk as a scientist because we love technicism. Now we need to educate ourselves about how to talk to people. And also a different challenge is corruption. Yeah, we don't have money enough as a country. We are a poor country. But even with this small amount of money, we managed to just throw it away because people just take and there's so many tools and equipment and regions overpriced. So it is so frustrating sometimes trying to help, because you need to use your own resources, even your own money sometimes. So I'm really grateful with the researchers across the country that are helping.
You and I have met through the community bio movement. And I'm wondering, we've talked, there's a couple of things that you said on one of the calls that we do. We have international calls, town halls once a week or once every 2 weeks with a group of people that have been involved in the Biosummit. And you talked about kind of the combination between how this is hitting you personally, like your family, and then also how you're trying to step up as what you've described in terms of professionally. How is that going, that interaction of what you're dealing with personally within your immediate community, and then trying to take on some of these new professional roles that you're doing?
It's been difficult because I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I mess up sometimes. Sometimes even trying to communicate, I thought it was something easy, and underestimate these communicational skills, but I've been learning a lot. And yeah, as a professional, now all my research was shifted to COVID-19. I was lucky that I received some fund from the Scottish Council. So now I have some funding to automate COVID-19 tests using Opentrons. I'm so happy the Opentrons are on their way now.
Oh, have you guys gotten the Opentrons thing going?
Yeah, this is the first time. I mean, there's no laboratory in the country with Opentrons, and I know that's affordable. I know it's easy and it's open source. I knew that because I was part of the movement you just mentioned. So I decided to go that. I'm happy because we're gonna be able to help even more. But also now I took a role as a communicator in social media recently as part of the government. Because I'm helping advising to make decisions. I'm happy for that, but also really challenging.
Could you, I don't know that everybody, and probably not everybody listening, knows what Opentrons is. Could you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, in the lab, sometimes you need to invest a lot of time just pipetting, which is taking a small amount of reagents and transfer from one tube to another. So that requires a lot of pipettes and also people involved. So when you have the Opentrons, that's a pretty affordable system that it's basically a robot that have like a hand, which is doing the pipetting for you really quickly and with great precision. So having an Opentrons is like having a lot of people working in a small space, and also it's open. The way you can program is open to everybody, so you can share protocols and ideas with worldwide. So I think it's great.
So you normally work as a professor and a researcher at your university, right?
Yeah.
And I'm imagining, similar to other places, that everything got shut down education-wise. How did your university handle that? It was about mid-March, I guess,
yeah,
a little bit later for you guys, the thing shut down. How did your day-to-day activities change as a professor and researcher?
Yeah, it was so interesting because when everybody was working at home, we decided to form like these WhatsApp groups with some researchers, and we decided to write some reviews about COVID-19 to educate people, but also to keep like reading, because everybody was reading papers. Why not just zoom up that in a review? That's something really useful for the country. So I know so many virtual friends now, so many colleagues around the country, and we published 2 different papers, reviews. I'm working on my 3rd now in diagnosis. So I met a lot of people. That was some way to keep working. And also we need to overcome some challenges like internet connection with some students to be able to keep teaching, because I'm teaching in medicine, in the medicine school, in the medical school. University decided to open laboratories for researchers working in COVID-19 projects. So, and now university is still closed, but I've been able to work because I'm doing some research with COVID-19, and also because now we are doing diagnosis to help the government with the test.
So you can go in each day?
Yeah, I'm going normally. I need like a permission for being able to drive, because you are not allowed to drive every day here. And also the timing sometimes is challenging, but they've been pretty open about the people who is helping with diagnosis. So I don't have any trouble with that.
Do any students come in and help you, or what's happening with
So,
students?
not that much, because public transportation was shut down. So most of my students, they don't have own car to be able to drive. So now I just have one student working with me, and also my couple is a researcher. I'm so blessed for that, because he's also doing diagnosis with me and working in this automation research project that I have using the Opentrons. So no, it's pretty empty. The lab is pretty sad. You just have like 2 or 3 people working. Also, sometimes it's nice because now I can use everything. But I don't see that the lab is gonna open in a couple of weeks.
Not for a couple of weeks, or?
No. Yeah. So what it is expecting that the university is open in September. So let's see how it's going. Yeah.
Yeah, here in the United States, it doesn't seem like things are opening very fast with any kind of return to campuses or research stuff even. That's really limited, and it looks like even through the fall, there's a good chance all of that will be shut down.
Yeah.
What do you think in your situation?
Well, now we are, I mean, measures now are quite relaxed compared with like the month. I mean, compared with May, maybe it was like pretty tight measures. Now we are able to go to the public spaces, for example, to run. We weren't allowed to do that last month, and but people, it's taking this like, maybe they think the virus is going away, which is not happening. And I see that in Quito, for example, we are in the limit of the capacity of the hospitals for COVID-19 patients. So I'm afraid that we are going to have like the second wave some states in the United States are facing now. In some cities where the population is pretty small, they are returning to normal activities quicker. But here in Quito and Guayaquil, we have some numbers in red. So I'm afraid that we're gonna have this situation for a couple of weeks or months, maybe.
Yeah, like
I'm not sure.
It's looking, yeah, there's some debate here, I think, whether it's even actually a second wave, because I don't think that we've ever gotten the numbers down, but there's just so much pressure.
And the economy is a problem. I mean, even for you, a powerful country, imagine for us, it's estimated that here in Quito, 30% of population needs to work every day to be able to eat.
So what is the situation there now? Like, one of the things I've been hearing from various members of our community around the world is there's an issue of getting people to buy into the reality, kind of the scientific reality in terms of the virus itself. And then also just what's in terms of how people are responding to it, what's happening there?
The problem is that we never, as a country, in the history of the country, we never had this scientist community advising anything. So people doesn't believe when a scientist says something.
Right.
They just think it's something maybe wrong, or because they want to cause some case. Let me say again, people perceive like scientists with like someone which is like elitist, so egocentric, like even like people that is rich, which is not true, and they don't believe us, and is taking some alternative medicines, which is pretty dangerous, and they don't listen advices we are trying to deliver, maybe because we are not as good enough. And this is the very first time we're trying to educate people in science, which is a reminding that we need to keep investing in education for people, so they are able to discriminate between fake news. So now we are facing this issue because people, a huge amount of people believe that there is no virus at all. This is something that they invented to control us. And maybe also they believe that if they take some juice or some miracle solution, they're gonna be fine. So perception of people in scientists is not as good as I would like it would be. But there is also something that we need to take of all the situation and be aware that we are privileged of having education. So we always should keep sharing of knowledge with people so they are able to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's ironic just in terms of what's been happening in terms of in the last 5 or 6 years, kind of in the United States, the discrediting of science and this whole idea of fake news, or that, but combined specifically with that scientific realities don't really exist. And so there's a tremendous kind of irony and force to work against with that. And I'm wondering, what role do you think community bio and community biolabs can play in that kind of situation, with educating a broad base of people and trying to get the ideas around scientific inquiry and this kind of thing to hold?
For me, as soon as we have this situation, I remember when I was in the previous Biosummits, for example, people to help with the research, with ideas, and sharing. There was no a criticism against your ideas. There was just good advice about you can do it, no matter where you are, no matter where you're from, how you look like. So for me, when we were facing the beginning of the pandemic, was okay, we need to act as a community and we need to join forces. We have labs, we have equipment, we have knowledge. What privilege we are. Let's try to act as a community of scientists, of academia, because I must tell you, as a scientist, I'm someone. I know that in US, I could be one more PhD. Here, we have some degree of recognize because people, we are not used to have scientists, not young scientists.
Right.
So let's take that advantage and like join and talk with people and act. And we decided to join our laboratories, and that was something that maybe we are gonna have this feel of gratitude with all the scientists that decide to stop the research and just hope, because they have collaborations outside Ecuador and they could get some supplies, sometimes some plastics, some tapes, and everybody was thinking about different protocols and talking with different people. Some of them get some money, and I'm so happy that we could act. Also, we have some issues. For example, when I proposed that maybe we should use our labs to a diagnosis, I had sometimes criticism saying that you guys you just know how to do research. Why are you trying to help with diagnosis? That is something you are not capable of. You are just a PhD in microbiology. You should, I mean, they say people, you are a microbiologist. This is a virus. You shouldn't be working on that. What? And I remember I was feeling so sad and frustrated at the beginning, because also you have this economical interest, private laboratories that they want to do diagnosis, and you were offering your lab for doing for free. So it was a huge competition for us. And the fact that we were heard by the government represents something that made me feel so proud about us scientists as a community.
That is fantastic, and that may be a good note to end on. I think the kind of work that you're doing there and pushing forward and getting science recognized, and I think as a young scientist in your country, you're really making tremendous strides and making a big difference there.